Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the Hawthorn versus Collingwood game, going through how Sicily just absolutely dominated this game from basically start to finish, and how Hawthorn showed Collingwood aren't necessarily the out and out favourite. I mean, I would still classify them as a favourite if they get through to the time that DAICOS is back. But if they keep on going downhill, then it is a lot tighter than what a lot of people thought it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, at least, when Collingwood were winning pretty much every game. I do think that there is starting to be a couple of weaknesses in their game, and I do think that other teams are starting to figure out what that weakness per se is. So before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, Sicily 160 was absolutely ridiculous. 51-38, 41-30. I mean, he only scored 30 in the last quarter. Imagine if he went 40 or 50, that would have been a 180 potentially that he was on for. Yeah, it was a ridiculous game for him, where he had something. Let me just check here. You can already probably see my trades anyway. He had 19 marks. Did he have any other games? His 165, he didn't even have 19 marks. So yeah, he just absolutely just took mark after mark after mark and just did what he needed to do, I guess. And that was he's had a couple of big games, but that was a big game. And I didn't expect it against Collingwood, but I mean, I'll obviously happily take it. And he's potentially now jumped into the VC. I think he was one of the ones that I thought about for not VC necessarily, because he has the Sunday game. So I reckon he will be of captaincy material, as I don't think with the way it's going, I will probably choose anyone from Freo, just because Brayshaw only scored, I think, 106. If we look here, where's Brayshaw? Here it is. Brayshaw only got 106, so I don't think he will be anywhere near captaincy material against West Coast, but I'll have to look into that later on in the week. Sicily, Nash, 125, he was actually really good. So he's popped up in, if it will change over, thank you. He's popped up in a couple big games, but then again, he's only averaged probably 82 or something this year, not big enough. Will Day was in some consideration until Newman started to pop up for me, basically. And the alarm bells rung on getting him instead of Day. But, I mean, Day is in around that conversation. He's probably the next best defender to get for the last couple rounds if another defender goes down. But we'll have to wait and see on that front. Newcomb, 105, he had an all-round good game. Just solid 2 halves, basically. Moore started the game on fire, and I'm looking forward to potentially grabbing him next year as that sort of F2 if Track gets what I believe he will get, that forward status for next year. But Moore's definitely in the conversation next year as an out-and-out forward who can still score well, especially as Hawthorn continue their rises. I think they could be potentially a sneaky final shout next year, as they look like that sort of team that could make that huge jump in the following year. And I think that will be mostly on the back of Moore, who seems to be leading this team really well at the moment. And he's putting in better performances in the back half of this year from what I can see. If we look at Moore, you can see sort of more consistent. I mean, he's always been around the mark, but he's starting. I think he can hopefully start to get those 100 games more under his belt, and really provide as a forward, as he's averaging 85. I think he can, at his best, average around 93, 94. So hopefully he ups that next year. Lewis, 98. Reeves, 95. He was just annoying in the ruck, kept on sharking Darcy Cameron. But I'm just happy Darcy Cameron got up to 80, which was good enough for me, to be honest. But yeah, he just dominated that second quarter, which was annoying. Ward, 95, he looks good, but I don't think there'll be a big enough jump available for him to pick him next year. McDonald's, sort of the same boat. I don't think there's enough scoring potential there at his price to jump up far enough to be an option. Morrison, Warpool around that 88's pretty good, actually. Surprised he did so well this year, but I mean, when you get that mid-roll off Mitchell, there's always going to be points there. Wingard, Bruce, Weddle, Impey, Hardwick, Scrimshaw, Kaczynski, Ryan, McGuinness. Mitchell struggled a lot, and what happens with him, I don't know, but I don't know if there'll be necessarily that jump available for him next year, because he's going to be averaging, I think, like 63 or so at the moment. So unless he can get subbed out on 30 for another couple of games, if we look here, Mitchell... 63 at the moment. He's going to need to be subbed out in 3 or 4 more games for him to jump into the 50s and really be usable. But next year, but we'll have to wait and see. And then Cam Mackenzie's getting into that point where he actually is usable next year, as he is averaging 48. So if he gets another 2 or 3 sub games here, then that average will jump down to like 45, and a 45 or a 44 as a second year player is actually probably doable, as that will be somewhere around that 380k or so. Say he averages, say 43. 43 would price him at 380. So that, and 44 would price him at probably about 390k or so. So that, I think, is very, very gettable for him if you think that he's going to actually start and not be sub, especially if they get rid of the sub rule and it's 5 on field, 5 on the bench, then I definitely think Mackenzie is a go. Pendlebury, reliable. Crisp, starting to get back to his best, but he's just a midfielder, which sucks. If he had that defender status, I think he'd be a go, like as in for next year, but because he's only got midfield status, it's really hard to see him do anything. Side bottom, Cameron had an alright second half. Just this second quarter, if he'd scored another 8 or 9 in this second quarter, that would be a 90 basically, and he'd be looking good, or just more reliable. Whereas I think I'd rather take the risk on Windhager being able to produce those big scores off the halfback, especially against like Richmond and stuff like that, or at least for another week, that I'd rather keep him over Cameron. Quaynor, Elliott, DeGoey, DAICOS, Hill, McCreary, Stay, Maynard, Moore, Howe, Lipinski. I wonder if Lipinski will get that more midfield role because of DAICOS out for 6 weeks. Noble, Adams, Mychek, or it could potentially be Mitchell, as I don't think he was injury related, but we'll wait and see on that one. And then Murphy injured, DAICOS injured, and DAICOS injury puts him down at, if I go to the people I've traded out, puts him down to 109 next year as I don't know. I'm pretty sure he'll hold defender status, but I'll have to wait and see on that one. And hopefully he does, because that as a defender will be good. Johnson, 32, Markov came in, and I think he'll probably stay in the side now that Nick DAICOS is out, as well as Murphy, and potentially was Adams potentially out as well. So they have a lot of guys that are potentially out as well, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But that is the video there, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks guys, goodbye.